Hello, and welcome to Subfloor Stories, where we have conversations around faith and culture. I'm your host, Angie Ring. In today's episode, I interview Angie and Sarah Beam. Angie and Sarah were part of Heath and I's congregation when we pastored a church, and they share with us today just their experience in churches as queer singles and then a queer couple after they got married. And quite frankly, it is pretty painful. Uh, and it was pretty painful for me to record because their experience at the church that I pastored was not all positive, and some of that's my fault. And so you'll hear some ownership on my part as far as hurt that I caused them. But they just share really authentically and openly about what life has been like for them in the evangelical church world and the negative things that have been attached to that. Strap in. You're gonna laugh. You might cry. I know I did, but I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Well, hi, you two. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello.
Hey.
It's good to see your faces.
We've never done a podcast, Angie.
Well, I've barely done one, so we're all kind of in the same boat.
I'm like 10 more than us.
I think we're off to a smashing start so far. I mean, we've only laughed for half of these few minutes. Okay, so what I really wanted to give to folks from your stories is just kind of some of the things that you two have experienced in church life. And so if you wouldn't mind, would you mind going back to the church where the two of you met and just kind of sharing with me what your experience was like there? Whatever you're comfortable with.
So the church where we met, Angie had been at that church for many years before I came along. I was hardcore into drugs and craziness, and I ended up getting clean, and I got clean by getting into church, essentially. That was kind of the filler thing for drugs, was finding God, church, all the stuff. Went to the church with my cousin, and I went head first. I picked up the Bible, started reading it cover to cover like a novel. Like, I didn't jump around. I just read it like a book, like a whole book. And I read it in about 3 months, cover to cover. Couldn't get enough. And, I was just immersed in church as much as I could be. And then there was a little, I don't know what you call it, pastory class, college. I'm not really sure what you would call it. But you could sign up and do this, and then you get more education and more closeness with God and all the things, and they get more of your money. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Are you talking about Victor College?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Did you just say, and they get more money from everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, before even Victor College, I had done life groups with different folks in the church. I was in like a prayer life group, different things. And I had done to become a member, you have to do a
like membership class.
And it's free to
hey,
give
really fast.
Yes.
This will be a little bit in the intro, but will you also share? So tell me about your sexuality going, over your lifetime and then going into. I mean, really, you're gay.
So, I was born gay.
Yeah. Wait, you're
and
born that way?
I was born this way. My wife maybe or maybe wasn't. I'm not for sure. That's still up for debate. But
Something.
I'm a real gay. She's not a real gay. But
she's a late in life lesbian.
Yeah. Late life lesbian.
Okay, that's just pertinent to the story. So you're going into this church.
Sorry.
You're a lesbian woman. You're going into this church, and you're you've lived your whole life as a lesbian, right?
Well, I came out at 19, and I was 30. Well, how old was Jesus when he died? When was that? 32?
33, I think.
30,
32
30.
or 33.
It was whatever that same age was, because it was a whole thing that
Yeah.
I was the same age.
Okay.
So whatever that age was, that's when I was saved and all the things. So
Okay.
I had been out for many years. I had been in relationships. Like I was pretty confident in my sexuality.
Right.
But I grew up with a very like fire and brimstone religious grandmother. So I knew like,
Mm.
gays are hell and all this stuff. Like I knew all that. But going into the church, I was more focused on becoming clean. So I didn't tell people going in that I was gay. Like I
Okay.
didn't I very much how would I put it? I suppressed that side of me is what I would tell people. And when I very first came to Christ, got saved, however you want to put it, I went to my cousin who went to this church where we met and told him very first thing. And one of the very first things that he told me was, well, God's going to turn you straight. Like that was in the bit, like I'm talking a day after I like came to Christ. And
How
all
did
the
you feel about that statement? Like,
I
did you
asked him, so
believe
you're
that?
telling
Did
me
you?
I asked him, so I'm going to wake up. Like I was confused. I was confused by it.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm just going to wake up one day and I'm going to want the wiener. That's exactly what I asked him. And he said, well, it may be on your deathbed. You may be dying. And
Well,
it may
that'd be
come.
a little too late, wouldn't it?
Right. That was kind of my answer as well. Well, what would be the point then? But yeah, so that was something though that I learned. The more people, as I did tell people that I was gay in the church, that was their response. Oh gosh, don't worry. God will turn you straight. And I would ask them the same thing. So I'm just going to wake up one day and one man. Like that does not make any sense.
Yeah.
And eventually I told the woman pastor, do you understand when you say that to me, it sounds just as unnatural if I were to say to you, don't worry, Pastor Kathy, you're going to wake up and want a wife. You're going to want a woman someday. You're going to wake up and God's going to turn you gay and you're going to want to be in a relationship with a woman. It's the same thing. Same feeling. So going into the church, I was very closeted. The Other than my cousin, the first person I told, I remember she was like my church mom or grandma. She was an older lady. And we were at El Campesinos eating, and I don't know what made me decide to tell her. I trusted her. I felt safe with her. And so I told her, and she just started bawling. She just started crying. Like just bawling, crying. She was so sad and heartbroken. But the same thing, don't worry, God will turn you straight. And then I told my leader, because I was like in charge of I was, like I said, I was very much into the church. And so I was in charge of a whole group. And I told my leader that I was gay. And her response was, you don't need to tell people that. People don't run around wearing shirts that say I'm a liar or I gossip or I steal or any of their sins
Well,
on
yeah,
their
because
shirt.
gay's a sin. So yeah, it'd be the same. Oh, jeez.
They don't wear their sins on their t-shirt. You don't need to tell people that. So I really kind of stopped telling people that then. But because the pastors like knew my family and stuff, like they knew that I was gay. And so I would get called in. They wanted to hook me up with a whole series for pretty much like pray away the gay thing. Like they knew a guy that was gay, and then he did all these books and
then he was miraculously straight.
yeah, and then he's straight. Wanted me to do that, and throughout all of that, like it just makes you feel like you don't belong. And one thing I couldn't understand, like I could have relapsed and I could have been high as a kite up here, worshiping my heart out, but I couldn't do that being openly gay. Like I couldn't be around little children because I'm openly gay. If I was open and out, I wouldn't have been able to be around any little children. Meanwhile, how that history
That's
looks.
wild. So you're saying you feel like you could have relapsed and came in on drugs, and that would have been accepted.
It would have been.
It was
Then if
accepted.
you were
there were people up on the stage on the worship team high as a kite.
Oh,
Yeah,
and like they knew, like the pastors knew,
I promise. They knew.
but you
They,
can't be gay.
but you
they
can't be
know.
gay. You can't be gay.
Wow. Ange, do you want to share a little bit about what do you want to
I
talk
can
about this experience or
just
no?
a little bit that like I mean I was those people.
Yeah, she was those people for a little bit.
Hmm.
I did not like her. Like we did not when we first got in our little college class thingy church thing. Like I was not a fan of hers because she was those people. Like because
Sure.
even through all the things that everyone was telling me, like there were red flags going off in my head. Like something, nah, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. Something's
Sure.
not right. And the more I would question, the more I would get called into the pastor's office and get told I was wrong and all the things. But
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, you were in a tough position because, yeah, Ange, we're coming back to you. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it is tough because you were a wreck and you
Right.
got sober. You found God. You were, you started into Christian community. And so it sounds like that was almost worth the sacrifice
Yeah.
of you like talking about your sexuality. Like you
Yeah.
weren't faking it. Like there was no time where you like started dressing differently or dating men. You
No.
just were like, my life is a little better than it has been. So I'm going
Hmm.
to kind of keep running on this track for now. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, because they had like in my mind, I was convinced that if I would have been who I like knew, like I know that I was gay the whole way. If I would have outwardly been that, I would have lost everything else. Like
Yeah.
that would have been a track right back to being on drugs and doing all the stuff. So to keep this, I had to not be this. And like you said, yes, that was a fair trade at the time. Now I
Yeah,
know it was a dangerous trade
right.
and it was a very just it's not a good trade. It's not a trade.
It's not. I just wanted to clarify that though to allow you to share how someone can kind of get stuck in that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like you were coming from a framework of like, well, these are good quote, air quote things, right? I'm sober. I mean, I'm in Christian community. I'm like serving the church. Like you were doing all the things that like the evangelical world tells you to do to be
yeah,
like a good Christian. And so like, of course there was like, a rub, but for the most part, you're like, well, I guess this is just kind of my path for now. I'll deal with
yeah,
the other stuff later, you know?
yeah.
And it consumed all of her extra time.
Yeah, I was at the church like from the time I got off work because I worked there. I would get off work, go to the church, and do whatever until the afternoon, and then I go home and go to bed, and then do it all again.
Yeah.
Or I had classes or groups or yeah, it was constant. Like and that so that was the only thing that I knew. But yeah, it was
So
definitely a
still good up to this point. And you met Angie, and Angie was one
Mhm.
of those.
One of those.
But Angie was also at the church all the time, right? Like you were serving a ton
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and you share what you want to share
Well,
about your
uh,
experience.
about my experience and as far as I mean, I was aware of I mean, you know how people feel about it
Hmm.
in the church. Like it's just like openly talked about
Yeah.
um the need to well, honestly, I would say there wasn't it was more dismissive. I felt that it was more dismissive of um gay people than wanting to like try to save them. Like that
Yeah.
is the way that I interpreted it.
I think a
Um,
lot of churches take that route. Like it's so messy and such a hot button topic right now, like for the church. I think they would rather just not.
yeah.
Is that what you're
Well,
saying? Like, let's
yeah.
just not deal with them.
I to it was more of a disgust. Like,
Oh, hmm.
yeah. And I know that it was it. I mean, some. I mean, with Sarah. And then, but I remember being at church, and obviously, like, I was not obviously, but I was talking to everybody. Like, I knew if there was new people there, that was responsible. I was responsible for knowing that. If there was someone special there, like, I needed to know so I could alert people. And so these these
That's a whole other topic. Someone special there, right?
yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
so there's someone special there, right? There's
Yeah.
a gay couple came, a man,
Yeah.
two men that I actually knew from the community. Like, I had worked with them
Yeah.
out, like, through my work, and they came, and, like, I was so excited they were there, like,
Mm-hmm.
because I had gotten a relationship with them, and they weren't there because of me. They just, like, happened to be there. I didn't know they were going to be there, and I was, like, so excited. And man, it was no, then we don't really care if they come back.
Yeah. They don't count.
Yeah, well, they knew. I
Jeez.
mean, probably felt that. So yeah, so I was ugly, nasty, until I met Sarah. And then you can talk about how that all went down.
And she wooed you in your
And she
non-affirming church.
Yeah, but it didn't start that way.
It did not start that way. No.
And yeah, so she can tell you how that went. Like, she got into well, first of all, we just were working together at the church. And then the process of you telling me that you're gay, and how I cried probably, and was
You did. She
remember.
cried at Panera instead of El Campesino, but
Oh,
yeah.
Sarah, all these people are crying.
They did. They all cried. Yeah. But to her credit, Angie never told me I was going to find a man. So that's good.
Good job, Ange.
Yeah.
You're only somewhat homophobic.
Yeah, so we became friends. She had a life group, a women's life group on Friday nights. And we actually one of the Friday nights was a First Friday down in Delaware. And so this group of all these church women and myself, we take all these church vans down to Delaware, but a whole group of us, probably like 12 or 15 of us. And there's an art studio down there for folks with developmental needs, special needs, things like that. And we went into this art studio. Well, there's like loud music bumping in the back, like all this, something's happening back here. So we go walking back, and there's a whole drag show happening in the back of this art studio.
How cool. Well, I mean, not cool to the church ladies.
So, like, the group kind of splits off. And so I lead the rebels to the back, and the others go to the front, like, they hightail it out of there. And we go back, and, like, it opens up dialogue. Because, mind you, none of these women know that I'm gay. Like, and we've been friends for a while here, but none of them know. I'm not out to them. And, of course, everyone assumes you're straight, obviously. So, we're in the back of this art studio watching this little drag show, and Angie, she's standing there. So wait, that's a man? That's a man? And like, she was just mind blown, couldn't believe it. It was fantastic. So that we leave, and we're walking, and I'm trying to kind of educate them as innocently as I can without outing myself at the same time, but also not allow them to talk shit about my queer brother and sisters that we just left in there. You know what I'm saying? So that was like a minefield a little bit, walking through that. But that also opened up the conversation that allowed me to tell her that I was gay, and then opened up the conversation at a different Friday night life group with all these other women, because they were sitting there talking about how it's wrong and how it's, abomination and all these
Sarah.
things. And I finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, listen, so I'm gay. And of course, immediately, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that. But you literally
the last 10 minutes, you've been saying something different. Yeah.
Yep. And so, yeah, that was the whole thing. And like, mind you, like these people are my friends. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
are my
Yeah.
my church family, so to
Yeah.
say. So it
You
was rough.
know, I just want to name, and not that you two don't know this, but hearing your story just makes it jump out even more, that the very place that you should have felt safest and most accepted was the place that you literally had to hide. Like you
Man,
knew, you learned quickly, you learned early on that you had to hide who you were to be accepted.
yeah,
And I
absolutely.
just think, like, I
To be
can't imagine Jesus not being heartbroken at, churches all across our country that people are doing exactly what you had to do so that they could be part of their church. They have to
Mhm.
hide who they are.
Yep.
I
And
mean,
see, I
so
remember
crazy.
part of like validating that whenever I was going to that church was whenever Beauty and the Beast came out, like
Hmm.
the live action Beauty and the
Yeah.
Beast. And there was all the hubbub about Gaston is gay, da 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 da. And the church lost their freaking minds about Beauty and the Beast. And I can remember being in these conversations because there's a gay Disney character. And I can remember talking to my cousin about it, who was at the church, and of course he knows I'm gay. And I'm like, dude, do the people in your church not understand? They're talking about somebody that's sitting in their congregation. Like, do you understand
Probably
that?
several somebodies.
Yeah. I'm
But
like,
yeah,
that, like, you need to understand. Like, your kids are going to run, because that was what it always was. We're trying to protect our children. Well, more likely, your children, some of them's going to be gay, first of all.
yeah. I mean, that
They're
has
going
nothing to do with them meeting gay
no,
people.
no, well, they all think it's contagious.
Yeah.
But they really, it's just that's what it is. Like it's their kids gonna have exposure to it. So I mean, I would argue, like, are you gonna keep them in a bubble forever? Because they're going to encounter gay people. As a matter of fact, whether they know it or not, they are every Sunday when they come in here, because I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Like there, and have I hurt anyone? No. No, sure haven't. So yeah, it was yeah. There
So
were
it's
things
safe to,
that I knew it wasn't right.
it's safe to say it was a pretty conservative evangelical church
Oh, like the
as far
sermon
as
about
like,
I'll vote for Trump. Yeah, that's the one.
oh, wait, they preached a sermon why you should vote for Trump.
A
Pretty,
couple of them.
yeah,
Couple of them.
Wait, I do remember you guys telling me this.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. I
yeah.
mean,
Now
dear Lord.
we're not telling you who to vote for.
I
We're
mean,
not telling you who to vote for, but look at the issues.
Yeah, we are.
I mean,
That's why we're not voting for Trump.
very
What were you gonna
concerned.
say, Ange?
They are just like about trying to pray for you.
Oh yeah. So once I
Yeah,
did,
I was gonna ask, what was your experience? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, they like to lay hands all the time and try to pray out the gay. I can remember one of our one of our classes. We were all gathered at the front in a whole big circle, and everybody laid hands on me. And I mean, they would never say it though. They would never say. They never outright said,
Oh,
"Please
okay.
make her want a man." They would never say that. But there are things Sarah's holding on to. There are things in her life. There are I
Like
don't even.
addictions. Not it wasn't.
It wasn't addiction.
It was like
I can't remember the exact verbiage, but they never
Yeah,
came out. They would never use the
but
word
you knew
gay.
what they were talking about.
Oh, it was incredibly clear what they were
Yeah.
talking. Yeah.
Didn't you was didn't you have an experience or a few where the pastors would pray for you alone, like take you in their
Uh,
office and
oh, not pray for me. Well, we
oh,
would pray together in there, but I would get in trouble because I would ask, like, I can't be gay, but you get to preach. So on this side of my Bible, it talked about how I can't be, like, you shouldn't be
yeah,
gay.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then on this page of the Bible, it talked about women should sit there and be quiet. But you're up here preaching. Well, it's different times. Well, I understand that, but it is
Yeah.
different times.
How are
Like,
you
if,
interpreting that part,
right.
yeah, and
right?
that's
More
exactly.
liberally than yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So I would, we would definitely be praying in that office, but they, I would mostly be for me to get in trouble, or for me to show, for them to show me like, oh, well, your tithing has gone down. What's going on? Like
Ugh.
that. And so yes, it was all. I would be taken in for one-on-ones quite often. Or one time I was going to go to a different church, my family's church, for there was an addiction person there. They were struggling with addiction, got clean, and they were speaking. So I missed one of the morning services because there's two morning services. I had to be at both of them, but I was going to miss one of them because I wanted to go hear the speaker. Well, I think I missed the early one, and then I was at the later one. And the pastor, well, where were you this morning? Oh, I had gone to my family's church to listen to the speaker. Oh, you should not be doing that. If you go to other churches, you're going to get different information in your mind, and you'll have too many ideas.
You'll be
And
harder to control.
yeah, pretty much. So,
Okay, so you two met, and by this point, I'm assuming, where were you? Were both of you like, oh, I don't think we could stay here, like after you started dating, or kind of what was that process?
Oh,
That
well,
that happened pretty quickly, didn't it?
yeah. Well, I don't know. She'll know the timing, but pro probably, I think for me, I think the one of the things that is important to me to say, which is kind of embarrassing, but it's that like a like I started really struggling with believing that this person, this like amazing person that we had all gotten to know, right? Like, I mean, we were invested in her. Like we
Mm-hmm.
were, and she was our friend. Like we were in this life group, like we were all together and it's so tight. And I just kept thinking, like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Mm.
Like that this person isn't gonna get heaven. Like that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so then yeah, it just got wonky and
got a little squirrely.
got a little squirrely and
Um,
we made decisions
yeah.
that
We handled things poorly. My wife was married to a man, and then she wasn't anymore. And here we are.
Then
But
she wasn't.
yeah. So the exodus from the church though was very quick.
We had started questioning, like we were going to Family Life Church, like just as we were friends. So we were going to Family Life Church. There it is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we had gone to the whole first year of college, fully committed, right? Like we were just right, and we had just started.
We were all the way in it, and we were just friends, like nothing.
No, I know. And then we started like the second year of college.
Yeah.
And everything was fine.
No.
No, because they changed the curriculum in the second year because the original curriculum anyway was someone else's curriculum. And so they couldn't tailor it to be exactly what they wanted to say.
As
so they
cultish.
decided their curriculum would be written by them. So then what? You talk more. We were questioning, like we were.
So my final presentation was.
Oh yeah.
My final presentation for our first year of school was pretty much how shitty the church was and judgmental, and how it didn't make any sense to me how a church could really be as judgmental, like that you just let people out here suffer and you do nothing to help them.
Yeah.
Was essentially my whole end of year thing for the first year. Yes, very much so. I was getting a little fed up. Mm-hmm. So then we went through summertime and the second year started up again, and we did sign up. But by that time, I think we were both like bought out of it. Mm-hmm. She had too many questions, I think, from her. Like, she was years into the church, mm-hmm. and I raised many questions for her. So she was starting to question all the things that she had previously believed. And so when that starts to happen, you can no longer hear from the people that you're questioning. You know what I mean?
Well, because then, I mean, it all kind of starts falling apart, because then you're like, if this isn't true, how can this be true? Is this true? Is that even true? Or is it, yeah.
Well, and also it was definitely like it was like a veil had been removed, right? Like you were
Yeah.
like now you're looking at all the other things that have been happening the whole 10 past years. Like, this
Yeah.
didn't make either. And just like how it does,
Yeah.
it really just revealed a lot to us.
Yeah. So we ended up, full disclosure, we got caught. Full disclosure, transparency. We got caught. We did.
Dating. You got caught seeing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dating and affairing. Yes, we got caught. So, um,
Did you just
then,
use the word affairing?
yeah, that's the word we choose to use. Yes.
Oh.
So, that made things awkward because, like, her family was going to that church. Yes, you know what I mean. So
You're both super plugged in there.
Oh, we're
Like you're
enmeshed.
both, you're
Oh, we're
serving all of your lives are
our
there.
life.
entwined.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now you get caught in an affair.
Yes.
And I'm
And
assuming they handled that well.
she decides she's getting divorced though before we decide to leave.
Yeah.
She has to of course tell the pastors that she's getting divorced because she is on staff at the church.
Which is
So
also a big no-no.
yes.
Putting everything else aside, putting you aside.
Yes.
That would have been, I'm
Yes.
sure, in and of
Well,
itself a
hold
big
on.
deal.
Let's go back to when we were just friends. When I first joined her life group, how about the conversation that you got told how we weren't allowed to be friends?
We were.
Go ahead.
I was told.
What?
I was told that I should not be, that I could not. Eventually I was told I could not be friends with her.
What was the
Because
reasoning that they said?
there was a evil spirit about her.
I had a demon. Yep.
It's not funny, it's sad.
It's not funny. None of this is funny, but Sarah keeps making me laugh. Listeners, I promise I'm not making light of the story. It is traumatic. But Sarah Beam should be a comedian. And so the way you keep saying things, you shrugged your shoulders. You go, I had a demon. How do I not laugh at that?
But you know what? Here's the thing though. While like we're laughing about it, but some would say though, like she would say she was right. Like she was right. There was an evil spirit and a demon at work, and look at us now.
Oh, she would still
Like it went like that spirit wrecked her family, which has then turned out like in their
Never
opinion,
mind that
wrecked.
there had been severe issues for years and years. I'm not justifying the affair,
No.
but never mind, right, that you hadn't been happy for years and years. I mean, there were issues, massive issues in the marriage anyway, but
Yep.
like, your
They-
demon wrecked everything.
right.
They knew all that. But yeah, so
But it was not right. I mean,
no, the way we did it was not right, and we absolutely know that. We did not go about it right. But it's the expectation of just staying in an unhappy marriage. Because even so, she was told we couldn't be friends. She didn't listen. And then she went and told that she was getting divorced to the pastors, got in big trouble for that. Big yelled at.
This was before they knew you were dating.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got yelled at. They actually yelled at you?
Oh yeah, it was in my face. Yeah, for sure. Yelling.
Oh, Ange.
Yelling. Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm sorry.
It was passion. I mean, and it was passion. That was my soul. Like, I mean,
she was casting out everything,
ruining everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Of my life and everything that they thought I should have for my life.
You were ruining all of their free labor.
Mm-hmm.
You were ruining the way that you could look spotless and do all of their work for them, including their dirty work, for free. That's what you were ruining.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say they didn't care about you at all, but I think that was probably the bigger, like, how could you do this to us?
And also what they could get, like, from me, yes, but also like I think, from financially.
Oh,
From
yeah.
if I was, in a family unit.
Yeah, your tithe's going to be a lot higher than a single.
Wife. That's okay.
Wow, that's,
But I
yeah.
mean, that's
Ugh.
rude.
It's
Like,
just what
that
it was.
one of the things they mentioned when they yelled at me was like, look how well that, the business is doing because you've been, faithful. And so,
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so she told them she was getting divorced, got in trouble.
That was a whole thing.
Yeah, it was a thing.
it was a thing.
And then I decided that, well, once we got caught and everything, then we decided we were leaving the church. And I had to tell my leader, like, that was the only one that I felt I needed to tell, was my leader and also my cousin who I was real close with. Sorry,
Yeah.
pardon me. But I went.
I'm surprised that's the first time.
Do what?
I'm surprised that's the first time that a cat has. They have 6 cats at home, listeners.
Yeah.
So
6 beautiful cats.
6 beautiful cats. Anyway,
I went and met with my leader, and no one knew about Angie and I. And so that's when I was going to tell her I was leaving the church and everything. And whenever I told her about Angie and I, she was super, super pissed at Angie because I was the, child that she cast and, did bad to. And she should have treated me like a child. Like, I was innocent and, valuable, and Angie took advantage of that and brought me back to my gayness by, what would you say? I'm trying to think the exact words that were kind of used, but pretty much she tempted me back to being gay and allowed that to happen. So it was her fault. Does that make sense?
Because
Yeah.
I was seen as in a position of
authority. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just want to be clear. You were not in a pastoral or counseling role or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
I was an administrative assistant, basically, and the leader of a life group. But
and I am not the standard. And nobody taking advantage of me.
Well, and you were like an adult. You weren't like a 20-year-old adult. You were like 30s.
I was in my 30s. I was a grown person. I was not, because the scripture that referenced was about, like, you should tie a stone around your neck and jump in the river to drown. Like, she should have been drowned in the river because we were together. That's asinine. But I was told, though,
Jesus.
I tried to explain why she was getting divorced, because that came up in it, the whole divorce thing. And I'm like, listen, like, she's not happy. She hasn't been happy for many years. Like, I didn't do that. Well, you're not called to be happy. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, so as a Christian, you're not supposed to be happy? No, there's nothing in scripture that calls you to be happy.
They do a lot of mental acrobatics theologically.
Yeah,
like a whole bunch of
marriage to show others what a good and happy marriage is, rather than be happy.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so you two got together. Angie's going through a divorce. You two get together, and by this point, it's safe to say that the house of cards had started falling. You're both like, okay, we're not going to stay here. You didn't want to stay there.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, yeah. So, and then your next church experience was not us, right? You went somewhere else after.
We went for just a short stint to the church that I grew up in. I was baptized there when I was a kid. It was not the same pastor from when I was a kid, but I still had family that went there.
Okay.
And they were very, very safe family. And it was a non-affirming church, but my cousin, she was like my second or third cousin, so she was older, but she was the most loving, accepting Christian person. Like, when you think about what a Christian's supposed to be, like, that was that was Janice. Like
Yeah.
she was the one. So that was why we felt safe there. So we started going with her to this to my family's church. But again, not affirming, but we did not hide there. Like we would walk in the door holding hands. We might get a look, but um
Yeah.
we were never
How
like
were you treated?
nothing.
We were treated very well,
Yeah,
honestly.
very,
Like,
very
Great.
nice.
yeah.
Always welcome back. All yeah, just very, very nice. But like average age, so there's not like a lot of action in that church. Average age probably about 87.
Not a
So
lot of energy.
yeah, it's
I
not
mean,
a
we're
lot of
used to like
yeah. When you go from like rock concert Sunday mornings to a piano with grandma up here, it's a little different. But it was fine for what we needed, and it was be accepted.
it was.
It was very nice.
Yes. Yes. And
Um,
you guys just needed something after what you had been through.
yes,
Yes.
we
Safe,
just
comfortable.
quiet.
So
We just wanted to
comforting.
go. We wanted to listen to our music and hear a little of the word and just be around people that didn't suck.
Yeah.
So that's what we were doing, and we did that. I honestly am not for sure how long, but in the midst of just backtrack real quick. In the midst of um my suppressing my gay at FLC, I have a cousin, not my church cousin, a different cousin who was incredibly bothered. Like she would ask me, dude, how are you doing the whole church thing being gay? And I told her, like, I'm suppressing it and just not like that's not what is it? I'm the bride of Christ right now. Like that's my only whatever. Like that whole scripture, that was my
Yeah.
phrase to
Right.
go to. So my cousin was very bothered by this, and she, unbeknownst to me, reached out to someone who studied theology, like beyond anything that anyone could ever know, and got like so much information. Like she sent me pages and pages and pages and pages of reasons why it's okay for me to be gay and like all the things. God still loves you. Jesus loves you. Your church is wrong. Your church is telling you dangerous things, like all the stuff. And she told me about this church in Marion that her friend knows, and these pastors, Angie and Heath Ring, that they're super cool and that they like the gays and that they're funny and all this stuff, and that I need to check out this church. Well, I brought up your guys' church to my leader and was told, no, stay away from there.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they
terrible.
did.
That's a terrible idea. Do not go there. So after we left, anyways, your name in that church was always rolling around in the back of my mind. But so we went to Central Christian for a while, and it was great. But the age difference was a lot, and just the worship there was not what we needed. Like it wasn't filling our cup. It did what we needed it for a little bit, but we needed something else. So one Sunday, for whatever reason, we went down in this little basement of some room in downtown Marion, and some girl just walked up to me. What did she say? My gosh, what did she say? Hey, it's all right if you're gay. God loves you, or something. Just like so random. Do you remember? What was that girl? Who was that girl?
I don't know. Someone said that to you your first day at our church?
Yes, the girl, she's gay. They had all them little kids.
Oh yeah, Deanne.
Yes.
Yeah, Deanne and Heather. Yeah.
Something though, like just something super random. Like it's okay if you're gay. God loves you.
I think
something
okay, I do remember.
lines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? Where do we just like? It scared me. Like it honestly, like back a little bit. Like what is happening? Who told them? Like I didn't know. Somehow you guys knew who I was, and that made me feel awkward. But yeah, we just sat there quiet in your little thing. There was a man there in overalls. That made me feel real good. So that was really nice. And then I don't know if we told you that very first time about Katie or not. I can't remember.
You did, because I mean we were a super small church. So of course when someone new comes, I'm like, hey, good to meet you. Angie, what's your name? And how'd you hear about us? Is like what I would usually say. And you said, Sarah, you said something like, I don't know, my cousin like knows this girl named like Katie, and she like messaged her, and I was like, and I remember I was so touched, I started crying. Like I wasn't like heaving, but I was
Mhm.
like tearing because I
Yeah.
remember it was Katie Grimes as who she sent me a
Mhm.
message and said, hey, I like there's this girl I know who has this cousin who's like looking for a church that will accept her, and where are you and Heath? Because I don't even know Katie. We've never met in person ever, but she
Right.
grew up with Heath, yeah,
Yeah.
in Catholic school. Actually, they were Catholic school kids and big
Mhm.
Catholic, families in Marion. But anyway, I said absolutely. Like, yeah, like tell her to come. And of course, that was like months before
Oh yeah.
you
Because
came
I
in. So when
wasn't.
you said that, I was like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so happy you're
Oh.
here.
Yeah, my cousin lied. I wasn't looking for a church. My cousin was looking for a church
Okay,
for me.
it's been many years, so I don't know exactly the wording. I just know your cousin had reached out to her
No, I'm just kidding.
and she had given you our
No, Brandon
info.
was. She was looking for another church. She did not like where I was.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for good reason. So you
Yep.
guys hung out with us for a while.
Yep. So
Um,
did that for. Yeah, we got pretty I feel pretty close with you and Heath. We got to be very good friends.
yep.
Um what did you guys did we do like life group things or we just would
We
hang
did.
out?
We had some like we did like some small groups, but we just hung out with you guys a lot too.
Okay, I could remember.
Because sometimes we would just come over and like cook hot dogs over your back fire.
Yeah, that's right.
And just spend time with you because we all just got along really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what I do want to know is because, we were pastoring a vineyard church, and even though Heath and I were fully affirming and have been for years and years, we still followed vineyard, as a non-affirming movement. And so their one, at least at that time, kind of their one line was you can handle it how you want to in your church. Like if like gay people like serve and things like that, which we were always fine with, but you can't be a vineyard pastor and officiate a same-sex wedding. And so we stuck to that because even though we were affirming and we felt like it was wrong to not be able to marry same-sex couples, we had chosen to stay as a vineyard, and so we wanted to abide by their rules, which we did. So would you mind telling me a little bit about how and I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad that you felt connected and you felt loved there. But I can't imagine this was the best experience. Can you tell me what it was like to like ask me to officiate your wedding and me to say no? How did you experience that?
Well, I think that it was more I don't know that we necessarily asked you because I think we kind of knew that you couldn't. So it
Yeah.
was more a conversation of, hey, we're getting married here in a few weeks. You it really wasn't a few weeks, but it was pretty close. But do you think you guys could do the wedding? And it was just we would really love to, but we cannot. Sorry, we have a cat
Yeah.
by now.
Which I regret
So
terribly. We should have left earlier, but that's okay. We didn't, and this is
no,
good.
it's okay.
So
It's
yeah,
fine.
we didn't.
It was fine. You hooked us up with the person that did marry us, and she did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And you guys were there with us, and you prayed over us and all the things. But that was definitely the beginning of the end. I think for us coming there, um, just having that. Like I always would say that there was an asterisk by us,
Yeah,
and
I would agree.
I yeah, that really was bothersome. Just I couldn't wrap my head around it. And um like there comes a point when like you have to kind of stand up against and for the things that you believe. And if like that wasn't the one to do it, like if I wasn't enough, if our friendship wasn't enough for you to do that,
Yeah,
then I don't know if I want to be part of your church. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Yes, that's what it was.
yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, please don't be. I'm glad that you're being honest and I'm sorry. I'm just it's easy for me to compartmentalize the fact that I stayed as long as I did. Um, but when I hear from someone that I hurt because I stayed, uh, it just makes it a little more real for me. So I'm very, very sorry that your church hurt also includes us. I'm deeply sorry.
Well, thank you for that. I'm glad that you're out of it, like that you're woke and everything now. Uh,
I was always woke. I just wasn't fully out, I guess. I don't know. I
yeah.
I really thought they'd change. I mean, and I talked to so many former vineyard pastors now who were in the same boat. Like, how long? Really? Are they really holding on to this? And like, at the time I had still loved everything about them and I thought they're gonna change. Like this is gonna I can hang on until this changes. You know what I mean? Um, but then, yeah, I just hit a point that it was like, no.
What was finally your point?
I mean, I believe it was God. I just got to a point that this rub, the constant rub of having a heart for the queer community and believing that every single queer human is made in the image of God in exactly the way they are, exactly how they were born, exactly who they love, all of those things. That became more of a burn over time. Just the dichotomy between my belief system with about the queer community and the, church structure that I was continuing to help uphold. And, um, it just got to a point where I could not anymore. I could not. There was absolutely no way, and we moved down here and we had tried to go to a vineyard and it was like I can't do it anymore. Because to me, I did get to a point where I just felt like a hypocrite. I felt, how could I look at my queer friends and tell them how much I love them, how much Jesus loves them, how much they are beloved by the creator of the universe, yet still be part of a system that says, only if you abstain, you know, only if you deny that huge part of yourself and never experience sexual intimacy with a partner that you're actually attracted to. That's the
Do,
only way you can be a full part of our community. And I couldn't do it anymore.
do you know last year, whenever you texted us that you were going to be at Pride, it pissed me off. I told Angie she should not be at Pride. I didn't think you should
Mm,
be there
why didn't you tell me that then?
because that's what it's not. These are not. They're not easy conversations to have. Like for
Sure, we'll just have it on a podcast where everybody can hear.
what do you ask? Yeah,
Let's just.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, don't be. I want this. It's okay. It's okay to be. I knew this was going to be a hard conversation. I welcomed it. I wanted to hear what you guys had to say.
Charger,
about-
our phone's gonna die. Sorry. No,
Oh,
and
that's
I.
okay.
It's just because I didn't know at the time, and that's my fault because I didn't ask her.
Oh,
Trying to
you
be.
thought I was going to Pride and I was like still part of a system
Yeah,
that
I thought
wasn't fully affirming.
like I feel like you call yourself an ally, but if you have an asterisk or you have a but, you're not
Yeah,
an
you're
ally.
not truly an ally. No, I
Yes,
agree with that.
and
And it was
so
my first Pride, and I did leave before then. Yeah,
I
but
really so I apologize. I just
yeah.
assumed that, but and don't. That's not why we didn't see you. We legit left early for real. But
Oh, no, no, no. I know.
I
No. Yeah.
I didn't want to think that afterward.
Well,
But
you're letting everything else out now. I
I,
figure you'll let that out too if it's true.
you should have not told me to tell you the truth. You should have known better.
No,
Uh,
that's what I want this to be. I want it to be authentic. Like I didn't ask for your experience of being part of our church for you to sit here and talk about how great it was because I know that there were parts that weren't great for you and I want for me this episode is like here church.
Yeah.
any non-affirming members, any, non-affirming pastors, hear from an experience of folks who have been to your churches who are queer, just hear what this feels like,
Yeah, I mean
for
it's
them.
it's really dangerous. And like I was like, by the time I got into it, I had been out for a long time, but I always would think about like little 18, 19-year-old me just coming out, like, or
Mm,
young gay people
yeah.
that are hearing God doesn't love you or you need to change. Or like when we go to Pride and you see these people pounding their Bibles in your
Oh
face,
my
talking
gosh, I
you're
know.
that is
Yeah.
dangerous. If no one, like, I also had an idea of God. I was raised up with my grandma and all that. So like I had some sense of what God was or whatever. And so I also had that foundation. But I would always think like if the very first message that you're giving to this little queer person is that God hates them, what are you doing exactly? Like,
Yeah.
isn't your calling supposed to be pull people into your church, not
Yes,
tell they don't belong? It's dangerous.
I
And you
agree.
got people out here literally taking their lives because they feel like they shouldn't be here.
Literally. Yeah.
And like you're contributing to that. It's very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
And you're also assuming that people give a fuck what you think or that they believe what you believe because they may not,
Yeah.
and they may not care what you think, and you're just spewing hate. You're using something that should be used to spread love and hope and all these things, and you've weaponized it. And
Yes, that's exactly it.
it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and people can be hurt. It's hurtful. People are hurt by it, and so you
Yes.
shouldn't do it. And I know that a lot of it comes back to this assumption that being gay is a choice. There's
Mhm.
that whole belief
Yes.
system. And it's not my question. I heard someone ask it, but my question would be, or I would ask, when did you choose to be straight? When did you choose to be a
Yeah.
heterosexual person? You probably didn't. You can't look
Mm-mm.
back and shows that because it's a natural part of you. And I'm not saying some people may choose that. I think some people fall in love with a person, not the anatomy, and that's fine too. Some people are different than you, and that is okay.
Yes.
It's
We have
absolutely
to
fine.
normalize that. Because
Yes.
like you said, what the even if it's a church that isn't saying like quote you're going to burn in hell or something like that, even if it's a church that says like from my background which would be more like well it's probably not God's best or something like that, you're still hearing from a young age the messaging that you're inherently flawed.
Yes.
You're inherently not like the majority of other people, from like
Mhm.
your assumption of that are in the church. Therefore, you're bad, you're wrong. There is something wrong with you. And I truly have come to just frankly see it as a form of abuse
It is.
to tell people that to ever be in good standing in X, Y, or Z church, you have to completely deny your sexuality. You can never experience sexual intimacy, even in a committed monogamous relationship.
Yep.
You have to abstain for your entire life in order to be in good standing, not only with
Yep.
God, but with the church itself. So you
Yep.
can't serve there, you can't teach children's ministry, can't be on the worship team if you actually choose to be in a relationship with someone that you're attracted to.
I
It's
think that
it's
had like
egregious.
I think I've had like at FLC, I think if I had been out and been in a relationship like before Angie or whatever, I don't think like I they would have made it to where I wouldn't have stayed there. Like they would make it like unobtainable to be a part of that church.
Yeah.
Like they would drive you out.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
would. Yeah, she would not have been asked to serve. I don't think it's a level you
Oh, no way.
serving or
No way.
be present. Definitely not be a present.
Yeah.
Um, like on Sunday mornings and visible and all that.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this as we're kind of going to start landing here. Um, Two things. A, where are you guys now? Where are you like spiritually in whatever way? Where are you with like your understanding of God? And then I'd also like to hear what is one thing you would like to say to the church? Just
Mm,
pretend there are multiple pastors that are going to listen to this.
mm,
What is one thing you would like to say to the church?
mm. The Jesus that you're portraying and trying to act like you're running his church is not the Jesus that is talked about in the book that I read. First of all,
Mhm. Preach.
that they're not the same person.
Yeah.
Um, that and it's dangerous. And I would just ask you, like, why do you care so much? Like that you can be so bothered by it that you have to write whole sermons about it. Like if you like it just
Yeah.
it I feel like there's just too much attention being put on that when there are other things like there's a lot of hungry people out here. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people that don't have houses. There's a
Hmm.
lot of things happening. There are children that are being raped and being made to have their rapist babies. Like there's a lot of things happening that we're not doing as the gay community. We're not doing those things. So we're not doing the things that you're trying to portray maybe that we're doing. So just I don't know, just I guess shut up, leave us alone. Really,
Yeah, it's
uh,
fair.
leave us alone.
That's fair.
Uh,
What about you, Ange?
What was the question before? What would
Well,
I
the
say?
question before was where are you with your understanding of God
Yeah,
nowadays?
yeah. I don't know what I would say to the church. I don't know. I'm still real hurt by it. I mean,
mm,
and I know that some of it was my own doing. Um, but we lost a lot. And I and like my kids lost a lot.
Mm,
My our whole family lost a lot. And like I know that like I caused it and like I caused the shift. Um and I don't think that the shift was all bad. Like I don't think that 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 my girls would think the shift was all bad. Like it
yeah.
caused them to, reevaluate their own beliefs and things. And I think they're grateful for that, honestly. Um, but we did lose a lot. I mean, we were invested and it was our life. And so, you know, those friends are all gone and all of that. And
Mhm.
so anyway, I don't
I would say one more thing though. Tell
yeah.
people where you stand as a
Yeah,
church,
be
as a
honest. My
people. Don't
God.
say you're all welcome here if they're
Mhm.
not. You need to be
Yeah,
honest.
that's just an ongoing issue. Like, because people don't want to say, well, some churches are fine saying it, but a lot of churches, a lot of these like non-denominational evangelical churches don't want to say they're non-affirming. So they're welcoming and accepting, or whatever you call it,
Yeah.
welcoming in something. But
Yeah.
it's like, but this is the question to ask, and this is always what I tell people. Ask them if they'd officiate a same-sex wedding.
And they
Mhm.
don't. We do that.
Yeah, that's what you ask. That's because that's the yes or no. Are you
Yeah.
affirming or not? If it's an affirming church, heck yeah, sign me up, you know?
We say
Which,
I when I was calling around churches like um for a while when we were still interested, um like that was my question was, A, would we be able to um
Sir.
serve and
yes,
lead?
those are good questions too. Yeah.
Because we would not have been able to lead.
Yeah.
And 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 yeah, anyway.
I'd like the record to show that I
Yeah.
got ordained through my nonprofit through the state of Ohio. So I can now marry whoever the hell I want to marry.
That's awesome.
So I'm very pleased. I did that last year. I'm very, very pleased with that.
Well,
So
congratulations.
hopefully I
That's-
will be standing up proudly.
Good.
I just officiated my first wedding. It was a heterosexual wedding, but
Boo.
too
Just
bad.
kidding.
No, I know I'm kidding too. No, they're wonderful. But yeah, I mean, I get to, it's been a long time coming, but I now get to proudly stand there and join two people just based on who they are. I just
You
get
put a
to.
little, you put a line at the end in honor of Angie and Sarah because I told them no.
I know, God. You know how many times I'm not exaggerating this. How many times I've brought up that I could not do your wedding and
I was
how it was. I mean, it obviously wasn't difficult enough for me to leave at that time. Um, but it was very painful for me not to. I'm not saying that to make you feel bad because you guys have
no.
gone through a million times more, but I have told that story. So that's kind of my penance, right? To like live as I'm telling my story of like becoming
You
fully
don't
an
have to
ally and no, I'm not I'm not like flogging myself, but you're part of my story because I'm like, listen, because Deanna had asked me too. And so I had to say no to
Yeah,
officiating two weddings when we were pastoring.
yeah,
Of people I love and adore and would have proudly married. But it's part of my story. Like
yeah,
I have to
yeah.
own it.
That's good.
All right, friends. Well, thank you so much for doing this and for being honest. Um,
Oh, do you
so
want the?
No, you didn't answer that question.
No, where we're at in our faith journey.
Yeah, you can say who you are.
you
can-
guys, yeah, you don't have to if you're not comfortable, but you're
Oh no.
welcome.
So I believe there's something else out there. I don't believe that it is the book of the Bible, the Jesus, the God. I don't believe that that is factual or accurate or likely. Um, I think that the idea of a guy up here in the sky picking and choosing at will who he helps and who he doesn't, I can't wrap my mind around that.
Yeah.
So I have completely deconstructed my whole everything. I believe there's something more. I don't think that it's the God and Jesus of my past, if that makes sense.
Oh, I totally get it. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Where are you? You don't know where you are, huh?
She's like, I don't think I want to share this one. I don't know. I don't know what I feel. Angie's like, I'm just glad I made it through an hour on here, okay?
No kidding.
Guys, you did really well. Thank you. Seriously, I'll hit stop here and then we can close up after. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. All aspects of this podcast were produced by me, Angie Ring, with overwhelming support and ongoing teaching by my son, Jairus. The song you hear is titled Death Defying Joy by the artist Andy Squires. You can find his music at Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Check him out. See you next time.